Spoilers! Yep, finally some spoiler talk for Thor Ragnarok. The movie's been out for almost a week now. I've really been pushing this off. I'm sorry about that. It's almost old news at this point, but let's make this fun. Thor Ragnarok is out now. A lot of people are going to see it. I've seen it twice now, and I've been talking with several people about it, and the critical response is pretty vast, actually. My friend loved it just about as much as I did. My brother, not so much. Not sure what the final consensus is gonna be for this one, but after watching it a second time, I still really enjoyed it. And yeah, that is a spoiler warning. If you've not seen Thor Ragnarok yet, you should probably go see it before watching the rest of this video, unless you don't care about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in which case, where have you been? So Thor Ragnarok starts out, Thor is trapped in what I can only assume is hell. I gotta say, that action scene with him fighting everyone and Surtur, I was like, this is probably one of the best action scenes in the entire movie. He's throwing his hammer and the camera follows Mjolnir around as it's flying around. I'm like, this is awesome. The cinematography alone makes up for the fact that Led Zeppelin is randomly playing in the background. I love Immigrant Song, don't get me wrong, it's an awesome tune. But my second time watching it, I was like, why is this song playing exactly? But Thor defeats Surtur, takes his skull crown, whatever that thing is, and he takes it back to Asgard. Now, here comes one of my biggest things about the movie, because I have been saying Loki at the end of Thor the Dark World faked his own death in front of Thor. He is now posing as Odin, as the king of Asgard. So when Thor comes back to Asgard, you can see Odin is just not acting like himself at all. He's all just sitting back, you know, watching plays about him. He might as well have one of the servants with one of those big leaves, you know, doing this shit. And Thor figures it out. Oh, it's my brother Loki playing a trick. And this is one of the things, my brother brought this up. He said the Asgardian citizens would have known that that was clearly not Odin. I was like, you raise a good point. Asgardians aren't stupid, right? I'm pretty sure the population would have figured out that Odin is clearly not being himself. But yeah, Thor found out, which is interesting. I didn't see that coming. So when they're down in New York, that is where the scene I really wanted to happen in this movie happened. Where Thor's like, dude, you faked your own death right in front of me. I mourned you. What the fuck, man? It could have been a little more dramatic, but I'm not really complaining. I thought it was handled pretty well. Besides, right after that, we get a pretty awesome cameo by Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange. I was so giddy when I saw that for the first time. I mean, we all knew it was coming because we saw that mid-credit scene in Doctor Strange, but still, just seeing that portal open under Loki and he just falls through, I was like, oh my god, it's Doctor Strange, it's happening! I was freaking out in my seat. But again, that is another thing that my brother brought up. He said Thor and Loki could have found Odin on their own. They didn't need a random cameo by Doctor Strange. And I compare it to Spider-Man being in Civil War. I was like, yeah, he doesn't really make the movie any different. If he were just pulled out of the movie, it would be less crowded, might even flow better. That being said, I'll allow it because, oh my god, it's Doctor Strange! I'm sorry, I'm a fanboy first and an analyst second. And from this fanboy's perspective, that Doctor Strange cameo was awesome. It just was. He's teleporting Thor all over the place, jump cuts, and I was like, alright, 3 times is enough, but it was still pretty funny. And then Loki falls out from the portal. He's like, I've been falling for 30 minutes! Alright, who didn't crack up at that? That was hilarious. One of the biggest laughs in the movie. So Doctor Strange teleports Thor and Loki to this field in Norway, and that's where Odin is. And I really like this scene, because this is another thing I saw coming. I was pretty sure that Odin was gonna die in this movie because it's the 3rd movie in the Thor trilogy, and it just looked like he was definitely gonna die in this one. But I really like how he goes out because it's in Norway, you know, connecting to the whole Norse mythology and all that. He warns them about Hela, he gives them a few last loving words, and then he goes out like Frigga did in the 2nd Thor movie. I was like, alright, good send-off. And then Hela arrives. Hela being Odin's actual firstborn. She is Thor's sister and Loki's, I guess maybe half-sister? In any case, she shows up, she destroys Mjolnir. Thor and Loki go back up to Asgard, but they don't make it there because Hela forces them out of the rainbow tunnel thing. So Hela arrives on Asgard, and here's one of my other problems. In my review, I said that there are characters from the previous Thor movies that they just completely did away with in this one. I was talking about the Warriors 3, because I really like those guys in the other Thor movies. They're cool. And when this one was coming out, I was like, are they even gonna be in this one at all? Because Sif is nowhere, so what about these 3 guys? Sure enough, when Hela shows up, you see Volstagg standing there with a sword. I was like, oh, thank God, it's Volstagg and Fandral. Maybe they'll do something about her. But no, she just kills them right off the bat. I was like, oh, well, okay. And Hogun puts up a fight. I'll give him that. He's awesome. But he ended up getting impaled. I was like, well, there go those 3 awesome characters. That sucks. So when Hela is in Odin's vault with Scourge, she's going through all the treasures. You see the Infinity Gauntlet, like straight up. That is the Infinity Gauntlet. She's like, fake. She pushes it over. I was like, okay, I guess you could see the Infinity Gauntlet in the first Thor movie for like a split second. I still can't find it whenever I watch it, but it doesn't matter because it's a fake. You see the Casket of Ancient Winters from the first Thor movie. The Tesseract is there as well. I like how Hela looks at it. She's like, that's not bad. I was like, that's one of the Infinity Stones. Come on, let's like advance the MCU here. But we'll save that for later. Hela gets to the Eternal Flame. She goes down and revives her undead army and her big wolf, and you know, that's what happens. So Thor finds himself on the planet of Sakaar. You know, he's in that chair, the animation's going on around him, that voiceover starts, fear not, for you are found. And then Willy Wonka music starts playing. I'll admit, I was like, What the fuck is that song doing in this movie?
Buzzkill.
I get that it might have been going for a joke, but in the end I'm like, where did they get that song? But he meets the Grandmaster, and the Grandmaster runs the Contest of Champions. Right when he said that, I was like, Marvel Contest of Champions? Anyone? I had that mobile game for a good amount of time. I got pretty good at it. That's a legit Marvel fighting game on your phone. And speaking of Marvel fights, this movie has one of the best Marvel fights I've seen in a Marvel film yet. And I'm, of course, talking about the big Thor versus Hulk fight. That fight was so much fun to watch. There are some solid hits in there. Thor goes up to Hulk. He's like, hey, big guy. Sun's getting real low. Music from Age of Ultron cues up. I was like, this isn't gonna work. Sure enough, Hulk grabs Thor and tosses him around exactly like he did Loki in the Avengers. I love it. Smacks him on the ground, throws him at the wall. Best part is Loki's reaction. He gets up and cheers. He's like, yeah, that's how it feels. I was like, that is genius. I love it. I love it. And then Hulk starts beating the shit out of Thor to the point where Thor's eyes start glowing and you see the lightning in his hands and he becomes what I like to call Mega Thor. Because to me, it was like he went through Mega Evolution from Pokemon. So I was like, sweet, this is kind of like a glimpse, like a sneak peek into the big final throwdown that's gonna be at the end of the movie where he just unleashes his complete God of Thunder powers. He would have destroyed the Hulk if Grandmaster didn't put an end to that fight. Meanwhile, back on Asgard, Hela wants to begin her conquest to just take over all the 9 realms and more. She's got Scourge, she's got her undead army, she's like, let's go. But they get to the Bifrost and the sword is gone. It's been taken by Heimdall. Heimdall is once again a badass. I completely forgot to talk about him in my non-spoiler review. He's pretty much taken it upon himself to shelter all these Asgardian citizens from Hela's wrath and prevent Hela from going on her conquest by stealing the Bifrost sword. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the fact that the Warriors 3 just had quick deaths, but I do appreciate the fact that this film gave Heimdall something to do. But let's be honest with ourselves, Heimdall was never not a badass though. But back on Sakaar, Thor and Hulk are hanging out now. Thor's trying to get Hulk to transform back into Bruce Banner. They find the Quinjet that Hulk escaped in at the end of Age of Ultron, and ultimately it's the recording of Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, that gets Hulk to transform back into Banner. I was like, alright, nice little Scarlett Johansson cameo. I wonder if she got paid for that. And Valkyrie, Scrapper 142. Like I said, I really like her backstory. You find out she is one of the Valkyrie. The Valkyries were the original Asgardian army that was purposed with taking out Hela. Unfortunately, they did not complete that task. She is the last surviving Valkyrie, so she just left it all behind and became an alcoholic. I thought it was hilarious. Like, when she first shows up in this movie, she lands on her ship, she comes out, she's all like, he's mine. Then she just falls. I cracked up at that. But it turns out, as you saw it coming, she does want her revenge. She wants revenge, Thor wants revenge. They grab Bruce Banner and they escape back up to Asgard. The whole rebellion thing's going on. That final showdown on Asgard though, that was some awesome shit right there. When Thor's fighting against Hela, he loses an eye. I was like, cool. Making it a like father, like son sort of thing. Now I feel like Nick Fury can go up to Thor and be like, now you know how it feels, motherfucker. But the big thing here is that Loki comes to save and evacuate the Asgardian population. Now, I've heard people talk about this. He's like an anti-hero now, or is he a good guy now? I was like, he may have done one good deed, but let's not forget that he tried to enslave Earth in the Avengers here. He is still the god of mischief. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a good guy now. He's probably posing as a good guy because he doesn't want Thor to hurt him at this point or something, but I still don't trust him. Hela is about to kick Thor's ass when he discovers, in what I called an Odin vision, what his true power is. He's the god of thunder, not the god of hammers. So once again, he becomes Mega Thor and kicks some ass. I kind of compare it to Star-Lord in Guardians Volume 2, kind of learning from Ego that he had this power in him all along. He just needed his dad to tell him so. So the ship with the Asgardian population is about to leave, but Hela sticks it with that spike from the ground, and Scourge sacrifices himself so they can get away. I was like, alright, that character was a character. Good for Karl Urban for getting a paycheck for this film, but yeah, I was not emotionally attached to this executioner. I mean, good for him for doing the right thing, but, you know, I wasn't crying. So they're all getting away, but Hela's still in Asgard. She's still a threat. So Thor's like, alright, Loki, let's do Ragnarok. So Loki goes down to Odin's vault so he can get Surtur's crown so Surtur can destroy Asgard. But he sees the Tesseract and, okay, I'm gonna let you in on something right here. At the end of this movie, Loki does indeed 100% confirmed have the Tesseract. I can tell you this because the Infinity War trailer shown at Comic-Con includes one clip of Loki holding the Tesseract straight up. My brother was there, he told me. So yes, Loki does have the Tesseract. But Surtur comes back to life, he grows to the size of a mountain, and he just straight up destroys Asgard. Asgard is gone. Went out Krypton style. So yeah, Ragnarok actually happened, and Hela is supposedly gone too. So now all is right. Thor, Loki, Hulk, and Valkyrie, and the entire population of Asgard, they're on that ship, and Thor is crowned the king of the Asgardian people. Now, I noticed this when the music was playing. That music was right out of the first Thor movie. I wonder how many people noticed that. Again, film score nerd. And it looked like they were going to head to Earth, which probably would have been a huge mistake. I mean, not just because Loki was there, but I mean, what are all these Asgardians gonna do? It's a good thing they were interrupted in that mid-credits scene. You see that big-ass ship, and I didn't know what that was at first. I was like, okay, that happened. But I read up on it, and yeah, that is Thanos' ship, straight up. That's gonna lead right into Infinity War. That is setup, baby. And I was thinking about this. You remember that vision that Thor had back in Age of Ultron where he's talking with Heimdall? Thor's like, Heimdall, your eyes. Heimdall's like, oh, they see everything. They see you leading us to hell. This is probably what he was talking about. I can't wait to see where that goes. The first teaser trailer for Infinity War should be coming any day. Well, not any day now. Probably either this month or next month. It's gonna happen before the year is up. I'm not gonna talk about that post-credit scene because it was just a joke with the Grandmaster. I don't care. But in the end, despite some minor problems I had with this film, I thought Thor Ragnarok kicked complete ass. Yes, it was definitely more comedic than it should have been. However, the action was awesome. I love the story. I just really appreciate what this film did for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Thor Ragnarok, what was your favorite action scene in this movie? There are some good ones in here, so whichever one it is, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.